Hey guys, that darn inspector again. Today we're going to be talking about stairs, in particular outdoor stairs where I see a lot of issues. This particular set of stairs is going down a bluff to the beach, and first and foremost, as a contractor, you should be thinking about the kind of loads these stairs are going to be put under. Today's the 4th of July. Happy 4th, everybody. Hope you're having fun, staying safe. But on the 4th of July, a lot of municipalities set off fireworks over the water. And in where these stairs are located, I can imagine that this would be a great place to view the fireworks from. Um, I could easily see the loads on these stairs reaching 500 pounds. Two adults, a few kids, you're at 500 pounds. Invite some friends over, get a few more adults on there. You could surpass 1,000 pounds. I don't see that happening, but you have to think about how these stairs are going to be used. This first photo, there's actually three problems. The first problem is this handrail. Now, all handrails have to be returned. No one's ever explained to me why they have to be returned. I've never asked, but I'm assuming that it's so that your clothing or a pocketbook doesn't get stuck on there as you're going up or down the stairs. It doesn't throw you off balance. This is an easy fix for the contractor. You just 90 and put a block in there. Very simple for the contractor to fix. Just keeps anything from getting hung up on there. The second issue is the length of the handrail. You can see this handrail is flush with the post. The post ends here. The tread ends here. This handrail is probably about 6 inches too short. The handrail is supposed to extend to the last riser. Now, this is a design problem. Lack of forethought. This is the edge of the platform. Maybe the stringers were too long. I don't know. But one way or another, these didn't line up, and this is how we ended up with a short handrail. But it should extend all the way out here. Third issue, which you can kind of see, but it's probably not as obvious as this photo, are these open risers. When you're more than 30 inches above the ground, you cannot have an open riser. Or you cannot have an open riser that'll pass a 4-inch sphere, which means you wouldn't have to close this off completely, but you would have to bring it up or come down with the riser probably about 4 inches, so the hole that's left isn't greater than 4 inches. You can't pass a 4-inch sphere. The other issue here is this triangle piece here. You can't pass a 6-inch sphere this way, where that triangle is formed, and you definitely could pass a 6-inch sphere that way. So, open riser's too big, 6-inch sphere too big. Now, structurally, some of you probably just picked up a big problem, but I'll go through the little ones first. This connector into end grain, you get no load rating into end grain. I looked through the Simpson catalog. I didn't find that stated. I do know it to be common knowledge. I have heard a Simpson representative state it. But anytime you go into end grain, you get no rating capacity. You can see this is already split right here. I mean, this nail is, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the member. It's not designed to be that way. These holes are specifically placed to give you a certain distance from the edge of the member. This 2x10, maybe it's 2x12. They should have doubled it up, stacked one on top of the other, or put a 2x6 on the top with a 2x12 below it, so that you had the proper bearing into that band. Over here you can see this is split, and Simpson tells you right in the catalog that if you split the wood, you won't get the rated capacity out of the hanger. Not to say you can't use it, but unless the contractor is an engineer or an architect, there is no way to know whether or not you will achieve the load capacity that you need, so better not to split it. Now, if nobody's picked up the huge error here, I'll show you another photo, and that's this. This is not the right hanger. Not the right hanger for a slope connection. Simpson makes a skew hanger. They're usually pretty common in lumber yards. All you had to do is pick up the skew hanger, which accommodates for this sloped stringer. You cannot do this. If you read the Simpson instructions, although it's also common sense, it says it needs to bear completely on the seat. At best, you have maybe 1/8 of an inch of bearing right along the edge there. So this is not the proper connector. Is a connector required? Nowhere in the code does it say it's required, but again, look at the load that could be on the stairs. Obviously, we're all trying to build the best we can without going bankrupt. I don't think it's too much to ask to put a few hangers on here. I don't think nails, toenails would be sufficient to support these stairs. Push come to shove, the contractor could be asked to demonstrate that toenails would support the load, and then you get into engineering and everything, so it's easier just to buy the hangers. They're not a big deal. This is a galvanized hanger. Simpson, if you read their catalogs, says in a high exposure area they highly recommend stainless steel. It's a recommendation, not a requirement. So you're not required to use stainless, but again, if you're a contractor and you're looking for your work to stand the test of time, I don't know what it would cost to upgrade everything to stainless, but I mean, if it was $50 for the 6 or 9 hangers that you needed to upgrade to stainless, at the rates we get around here, I think it would be a worthwhile investment, but not required. Highly recommended. And you can look at these stringers. I mean, I have nothing bad to say against this guy's workmanship. Cuts are good. Everything's plumb level. I mean, they must have finished these cuts off with a handsaw. They're not overcut. So again, I'm not knocking the guy's workmanship. It's just he needs to read the code. And here's our last error. This is a landing for the stairs, but I see this all the time on residential decks. You cannot bolt your girder on either side of a post unless an engineer designs it that way, but I've never seen that done ahead of time. I've seen contractors have to go back to an engineer after they've built it that way and it's failed, and the engineer does the math, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. These are supposed to have 1.5 inches of bearing, so this post should be not, well, on a 4x4 you would cut it flush, you would buy the structural connector from Simpson or USP or whoever you patronize, and you would connect it that way. On a 6x6 you would notch 3 inches out of one side, stack them in there, then you could bolt it. But connecting on the side like this with 1 or 2 bolts like you can see back here, not approved. There's no bearing. You're counting on the shear strength of the bolt. Here we have the code sections I was talking about. I say it every time. International Code Council makes these codes available online for free. You can't search them, so you kind of have to stumble through them if you don't know what you're looking for. But they are available for free. You can print out the pages if you want. The first section was the handrail has to extend to the lowest riser of the flight. Our handrail was too short. Second issue here was handrail ends must be returned. We went over that. The next problem we had was open risers are permitted provided that the opening between the treads does not exceed the passage of a 4-inch sphere. We have an exception here that says the opening is not limited when you have less than 30 inches. But in our case we had well over 30 inches, so no open risers, or not to the point where you can pass a 4-inch sphere. Bearing, this is what we were talking about with the girder. Ends of each joist beam or girder shall have not less than 1.5 inches of bearing on wood or metal. So those 1/2-inch bolts that you put through may be good as an extra step, but not compliant for meeting the bearing requirement. And from the Simpson catalog, a fastener that splits the wood will not take the design load. And also the joist shall bear completely on the connector seat. Common sense, but Simpson put it in writing. You cannot use a standard joist hanger in a sloped configuration. Alright guys, hope you found this helpful. Have a happy and safe 4th of July, and we'll see you next time.